Exactly a week ago, senators received a letter from President Muhammadu Buhari requesting approval to borrow the sum of $29.9 billion to execute key infrastructural projects across the country between 2016 and 2018. In the letter, President Buhari had explained that the external borrowing plan would be targeted at projects which cut across all sectors, with special emphasis on infrastructure, agriculture, health, education, water supply, growth, and employment generation. At the resumption of plenary this week, the Senate leader, Senator Aliyu, moved a motion for the consideration of the request, and it was subsequently seconded.
Mr. President, with your permission, I wish to move that the request be referred to the relevant committee for further legislative action. I so move.
Senate President Bukola Saraki then puts the motion to a vote.
Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. Let me put the question again. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. Nays have it.
With that ruling, the motion was defeated. Speaking afterwards, the majority leader explains why the lawmakers voted against considering the president's request.
The presentation from Mr. President was not complete. There wasn't an attachment that is required for consideration. So we felt that taking it to the committee level without members, having a citing the details of the borrowing plans. The details of the borrowing plan is absent. That is one of the major reasons.
The Senate leader has promised to meet with the relevant members of the executive to discuss the details and do a proper presentation to the Senate at a later date. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives is yet to consider the president's request. The House had earlier called off the consideration, which was to take place on Thursday last week. There are indications that it may not be considered this week as well.
Well, to shed some light and not heat on what transpired on the floor of the Senate, we've got a senator who joins us in Abuja. Mark, where?
It's a tough one now, to Chamberlain, and light and not heat. But yes, we do have Senator Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, who is the Chairman, Senate Committee on Media and Public Affairs. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Good morning, Nigerians, and thank you, Mark.
Well, you've heard what Chamberlain said. He's hoping that there will be a lot more light on this. Sure. The Senate has thrown out that request for ostensibly lack of details. But some people are saying, is that all there was to this?
Well, thank you very much. First and foremost, before I go into shedding some light into this issue, I think let me first state certain things about the Senate. At the beginning of this 8th Senate, the Senate was very emphatic, clear, and unambiguous on one or two things. And these are: we are committed to learning from the past assemblies, what has happened, with a view to enhancing our productivity and performance in this 8th Senate of change. And secondly, we came up with a legislative agenda where we, captured what exactly we want to see as our guide through the 4 years, session, and for which we will also be able to, as a benchmark, for which we can gauge our performance at the end of the day. Now, let me say that in continuation of these two principal, philosophy of our operation as a Senate, we actually, on resumption, went on to debate the issue of the economic recession, if you remember. And when we debated the economic recession issue, we came up with some suggestions, which we approved through a motion that the leadership of the National Assembly should hand carry these particular conclusions of the resolution to the executive, that is to Mr. President, President Muhammadu Buhari. Now, it's important to note that in all of the issues that, or resolutions that we passed, we agreed that yes, the federal government can actually go for concessionary loan to enhance the implementation of the 2016 budget, which already has a borrowing plan of about 2.3 trillion, and out of which some are to come from the domestic side, and the others from the international foreign loan. And we were very clear that at the end of the day, it will also support infrastructural development, because we all agree that the infrastructural deficit in this country is so serious that if you want to promote business, people find it very tough.
In other words, you were looking forward to that request, this sort of request as it were.
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to give you the context to show that ab initio, the Senate is not averse to the executive coming up with something like this. In the first instance, actually, we actually made that suggestion also to the executive through the recession resolution that we passed. But the point here is, even though I wasn't in chamber on the very day this issue was debated, we were on oversight visit. The Senate Committee on Agriculture was on oversight visit. Now, the issue of oversight also actually was one of the resolutions we passed, that we need to carry out our oversight. So there was a schedule. Each committee was given a particular time frame within which, so that we don't end up closing the chamber, so that some people are out, some people are in. Now, we were out as at the time this took place, but I came back yesterday and have been fully briefed on issues that led to this. Now, the issue is clear. The Senate leader said it. If you look at the letter from Mr. President, it said attached herewith is the borrowing plan. And I will tell you, it was not attached. So I think what we see, and to me, it's quite unfortunate that some people around the president who ought to carry their job very seriously are not doing that. And at the end of the day, they are creating a scenario where when the Senate acts in line with its constitutional mandate, they tend to now see that as an anti-action, which is not true. Because the Senate has a duty to be thorough, and if you are going to borrow this kind of sums of money, which according to experts is about the largest sum that we're borrowing over some period, yes, agreed is for a 3-year borrowing plan. And so maybe when you take it into what each year we take, but then what will 2016 take? What will 2017 take? It's not there in the letter. So these are the key issues. And it's important that if the Senate had gotten all the details, because we all know this, when you want to take a loan, you must come up with a solid plan. When are you going to pay this loan? At what interest rate? What is it going to be used for? How is it going to move the economy? These are all due diligence that we expect. If this document, the executive side has it, it should be sent to us, because as representative of the people, we also have a duty to make sure that we take actions that we give succor to the people and not to put them in harm's way. And I think this is exactly where the Senate stands. And like I said, the Senate is committed to its constitutional mandate of legislating for peace, order, and good governance.
Well, Senator Sabi Abdullahi, we have to take a moment now. When we come back, we will come and explore all these other headlines that seem to point in other directions. Do join us again.
Thank you.